on the seashore. Forever and ever, shall you see picture?
Nothing and me will love you pass. Baba God know I do. Nothing can stop it, nothing can change it. My love no be CD. Nothing and me will love you pass. Oh, Baba God know I do. Nothing can stop it, nothing can change it. My love no be CD.
You be queen, I be king, make we rule the world. Come and rest on my.
Hi, everybody. My name is Fauzia, and I'm going to be moderating this amazing session. Thank you for joining us on the Africa Next stage. This is powered by Ingressive for Good, a non-profit with the mission to increase the earning power of African youths through tech. We have a thriving community of over 260,000 people, and we've heard so many questions about how we did that, and that's why we decided to do this today. I have some amazing people that will be joining me on stage today, and without further ado, let's have Hanifa Abdurrahman Leki, the community manager at Ingressive for Good, award-winning community manager at Ingressive for Good. Next, I have Kelvin. You may know him on Twitter as Tush Geek. Is the founder of the Consonance Club, and he also has an amazing community at Bumper. Please, you guys, come on. Okay, so we also have Salem King. He'll be joining us soon, but we'll just get this started. Hi, how do you guys feel?
Okay, good. Good.
Thank you. So I'm going to try as much as possible to ask the questions that you have in your minds. I have the mind reading superpower, but at the end of the session, we'll also take a couple of questions from you. So my first question will be to Hanifa. I want you to tell us what a community is, and I don't want the textbook definition. I want you to tell me the tiniest thing that means community and the things that don't. Like, how do I know that it's a community?
All right, thank you for that question. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for being here with us. So I define community, this is my own personal definition of community. So first, a community is a group of people, obviously, or a group of animals, but obviously a group of people. Then next, there's a goal. There's a goal, there's an interest, right, that every single person has together. And then finally, which a lot of people miss out, is shared value. And what that makes it different is that I can be in a community or I can be in what most people define as community, and I'm interested in what everybody else is interested in, but does not mean that I care about my fellow community members. So shared value, shared care of some sorts is like what defines community. And what is not community, social media followers are not your community. Although I know these days, most especially Instagram and sometimes Twitter, we start to define it as your social media community. And I think it's also different. I think social media is already bringing that community vibe into what community actually means. But a lot of the time, your social media followers are not necessarily your community, your newsletter audience, or just an audience generally, or your podcast listeners, or just people that are not able to connect with each other. That there's not that connection between members and members. So that's what community is and what community is not.
I would have had a follow-up question for Salem, but let's see if you can, because I know that Salem has a community and he started that out on social media. So I'd have really loved for him to talk about that bit. I'm going to try and remember when he comes here. So Kelvin, do you think that a community is a nice-have or a must-have? And do you have like certain instances where the community was beneficial to a project or something that you worked on?
Hello. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelvin Umechuku, and I think Fauzi has already done the intro. Co-founder, CEO of Bumper, and also the founder of Consonance Club. So just to answer your question, I think it depends on what you're building. You know, there can be community elements to most things that are being built. You know, if you're starting a startup, for instance, you can have a community of your first adopters, just so that you can test and learn from them. You can also have a community as Anifa had mentioned, have a community, say, of developers, people with shared values, or probably learning specific skills. You can have that, and I think it depends. Yes, I want to use that it depends because it matters a lot what you're trying to build and the kind of community that you would like to create. I think that communities can also be different and serve different purposes. So as an example, we had, when we were starting Bumper, we had people that we reached out to in the beginning, and we sort of created a community around that. We still have that community to today, and we've grown that specific community to like 500, close to 400 businesses now. These are not just our customers. These are specific business owners that we share our product ideas with even before we even start building. So we talk to them about it, and we let them know, and they get interested. If they're interested, based on their interest, we'll know if we should prioritize that feature or not, or if people would most likely pay for it or not. That kind of community now is different from how we are building communities, say, in Consonance. For that's focused on, just shared values and, trying to ensure that people have, the right opportunities or the right resources to grow their skills. So it depends, yes, but I would say most people should be thinking about the community element of things because it can really help, the organization.
Did you start, what was the reason that you started the Bumper community? I mean, you wanted to do this for business owners, but what was the defining factor for gathering these 400 people in one room?
So the Bumper community is not just 400. So that's just a subset of the community that is focused on product testing, yes. But the main reason why we wanted the community because there's so much benefits to being closer to our business owners. It's like because we have that, see my senior man just came in. Let's do intro for him now.
Hi, Salem.
Hi, Salem.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Good to
understand?
have you here.
It's traffic.
Okay.
All right, just.
So before you joined us, we had a question that we held on to because we wanted you to answer that question. Hanifa was talking about how the kinds of things that are not communities. So she mentioned social media followers. So and we know that sometimes your social media follower, you can build a community out of that. And I thought that you'd be the best person to talk about that.
What's the question?
The question is, how did you build your own community out of your social media followers?
That's okay. How much time do we have? Ultimately, the short answer to that question is intention, right? Once you first realize that an audience is not a community, and that just the same way that it's not the same strategy that gets people to click and like and share that gets them to part with money, or that gets them to download an app or to click a link. You know that you need different strategies for those things, because a lot of times when people come to Instagram, for example, they don't want to leave the app. When people come on Twitter, they don't want to leave the app. So getting people to leave to go somewhere else requires some level of intention on the side of the creator or the brand, knowing, okay, who is this community for? What are their problems? How can I give them something that I can't give them through this community, through this audience I have on Instagram? Do you understand? So ultimately, you need to be thinking, you need to have a community already that you're offering value to for free, and then think, how much more can I give them? Of course, not everybody is going to go for that more you're willing to offer a ticket. So it may be more that you're offering through a mailing list or a community where there's some form of accountability, or it could be all kinds of things. But ultimately, it boils down to you thinking, who am I reaching out to? Who is this community for? What are their problems? How can I solve these problems for a group of people at a higher level than the way I already do it, to the general public? And once you start to think in that direction, you start to find solutions. I don't think we have enough time to go into like the nitty-gritty, but yeah, at the most basic level is having some intention to it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think you properly answered the question, because my next question was really going to be about what's the one tip that you give to somebody who is trying to start a community from zero. But I think you already talked about intention. Would you like to add anything?
From zero, I guess there's something I like to say, that before you're in the business of anything, you're in the business of people, right? Because if you start a business, the people who are all the money you're going to make is in people's pockets, right? If you're a content creator, all the likes and comments and shares you're going to get from people. You can't do it yourself. You can't comment on you can, but like, you can't, it will be weird if you did it all the time, right? So ultimately, you're in the business of people. So everyone who wants to build a community has to think about people, like the individual. So the way a lot of people get it wrong is they say, I want to build a community of 1,000 people. That's putting the cart before the horse. You need to think about who's the one person I want to help. This thing I want to do for 1,000 people, how can I start doing it for one person now, right? And start doing that, because communities ultimately form around impact. Because if I create a WhatsApp group and I put 100 people there, that's not a community, that's a WhatsApp group. Do you get? So communities form around impact, communities form around shared interests, communities form around value, right? So if you're starting from scratch, think about a community of 2 people, community of 3 people, 4 people, 10 people, that you're just helping through a certain, part of their life. Could be their tech journey, could be their creative journey, whatever it is. It's okay to start very, very small. Because as a creator, every now and then people ask me questions about how can I grow my following, and I'm like, how many followers do you have? They're like, only 500. I'm like, what do you mean, only 500? Imagine there were 500 people in this room. That's a large number. But social media makes us forget the people element, So if you're trying to build a community, it's true that you have this big dream of 1,000 people, but you need to start from the individual. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. My next question will be for Hanifa.
Wait, I need a masterclass from Salem. I don't know why nobody was clapping at that. That was pretty good.
Thank you. Hanifa, so my next question is about something that Salem touched on, and impact. So communities are springing up everywhere. For example, I know I started a community of ladies, and I also belong to a community of some ladies, and I realized that I'm in this community with the exact same people. So what makes that difference? How do you distinguish if I'm trying to start a community that I feel like already exists, how do I make my community any different?
I mean, there was a time when, most especially talking from the African/Nigerian perspective, we don't necessarily have that much community before, or maybe online anyways. And now that communities are springing up, just like you said, what makes it different, I think, is what you offer. What's just like branding, or just like you personally, or your personal brand, or your business brand, what makes it different? What's the unique thing that you're offering? What's your unique value proposition, but this time around unique community proposition, or you? But so majorly what's the different thing that you're offering? And in as much as you find yourself in like multiple communities, I've seen where one person has been in very similar communities, and at the end of the day, they're always like venturing or getting attracted to just one out of them. the thing that you see is this particular community is probably engaging them more, or listening to them more, or asking them to contribute more. Community should be community-led, should be your members-led. You should allow your members to generate content, allow your members to do more of the talking than you are. So when you start to do that, that's the major difference between communities nowadays, basically.
How do we get to that point where the members start to do more?
It takes years. 100, like that's one thing that I've learned. No matter what, just like a business, you want to start your community first. So you're the first person to talk in your community. You're the first person to engage. You're the first person to ask a question. Then over time, you start to ask your members, do you have any questions? What problems are you having? Over time, you start to see members that are doing better in areas that you're, on a norm, you'll be the one talking about it. But you're like, oh, Mr. A does this better, is going to be the one to, talk about it. Or even sometimes just ask your members, hi, I can see that you've been in the community for a while. Do you want to, discuss about this session together with me? Or do you want to share this session together with another community member? That way you're getting your members to do the talking, you're getting them to do the sharing of value. But truthfully, it actually takes years. A perfect example is I started a ladies community. We read, it's a reading community, right? And we started in 2020. I do more of the talking. Like, I'm always the one. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. But now, the community is led by community members themselves. I can choose not to talk in the community. They do book reviews. I mean, it's so cool that I'm just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, yeah, this is our book list. But I remember when I was the one like, hey, this book, is it good enough for us to read? How long will it take? And now it's being led by community members. But this is what, 2022, 2023? And it took that long for it to get there. So it actually takes time. And you want to also make sure that your community is long-term and not, you're just playing. You want to build a community for 3 months. And you're like, the community is usually much more long-term.
Thank you very much. You mentioned impact. So I'm just going to take my next question from that for Kelvin. How do you determine whether or not your community is successful? Are there certain metrics that you track, or do you think it's specific to your business, or is it a community thing?
This particular topic, I think that it has been discussed a few times, where we're always looking out for how exactly do you measure, the success of a community. Right now, you would see that most people are probably measuring communities by the number. How many people do I have in the community, or how much engagement. This is also the same reason why I tend to focus more on smaller communities these days than the large communities of thousands of people. I don't think that there's a lot of impact happening there, except the people that are managing it have been able to decentralize the authority and the resources. But thinking about the metrics, so for instance, when we're starting Consonance Club in 2017, we had just a few people in the community. It was like a WhatsApp group, yes. And as Anifa mentioned, there was this thing where, if anybody asked a question, I would go to the DMs of the people that I know that could answer the questions, and I would go and, ask them to please respond to this particular question. And there's that phase, but it's more about the kind of environment or space that you're creating, in the community. And probably that's why, Anifa's community today, can be community-led. So at the time, what we were thinking about how to measure our success at the time were, how many times, people that had blockers, how many times could we actually help them, solve those problems. So the number of blockers that was resolved were how we were measuring the community growth, the impact of the community at the time, because it was mainly for developers that were trying to figure things out. And this has probably changed, to when we now think about it for Bumper, we're thinking about it in terms of the business growth. So again, measuring the success of a community cannot be, how my community is measured is most likely, I don't know how hers is measured, but I'm sure it's actually going to be different. So I'm sure it's different from how Salem will also measure his own, the success or the impact of his own community. So for us at Bumper, we're now thinking about how are we able to help the business owners, the businesses grow, and checking that is more on checking their businesses because they record their sales on Bumper. Now that is going to be difficult for consonants because there's no way you can see any record. It's because the community members are sort of bounded by a product, and you can use that product to measure their business growth. So I think it's going to be different, but it depends on, what the overarching aim of the community is. So if you're trying to solve their problems, then you're thinking more of how many problems are you able to solve. If you're trying to help them with business growth, you're thinking about how many of them are able to grow, and what are the things that you're able to push them to ensure that they are growing, and how many people are at this level, but now at this next level, in say 3 months, 6 months, and in a year.
Thank you very much. My next question is for Salem, and I'd like to ask about what do you think about planting people in new communities? Say you have a community of 10 people, and you want them to start talking. What do you think about adding the 11th person that is your friend to start the conversation?
You got to do what you got to do. I mean, we see that play out in. I don't think they did it the past couple of years, but in Big Brother, I think there's one season where they would introduce a surprise. I don't know if that's the word, but like introduce someone who was not originally a housemate to just make things interesting, and you could see the effect it would have on the house and everything. So let me give an example. So every now and then I have a community hangout, right, where I just hang out with people who are from my community, like 20 people at a time, and we just chill in a place and just party and play games and stuff. Nothing serious.
Coming to one of that.
Sorry?
Coming to the next one.
Yeah, it's dope. You need to come around. So we just play games, gist, eat, all of that, and everyone goes home. But every time I have those hangouts, I invite at least 2 of my friends, right? So that I'm an introvert, so like one, it puts me at ease, because the idea of 20 strangers at the same time is scary for me, even though I love to teach, and all of that. So I always invite 2 of my friends, and they sort of keep things interesting. One of those friends is like a games master type guy, right? So he brings the energy. Me, I don't have energy to bring to a party, right? I'm the kind of person to organize a house party where we will just read books and chill. But I can't invite other people to that, so I bring my friends to help with that. So at the end of the day, I don't think we should be thinking, should we not, can we not? As long as, it's ethical and it's not wrong and we're not hurting anybody, whatever we need to do to make communities work, we should do those things, yeah.
Community, they call them moderators, community moderators. So they're like specific people that they're very good. They're good, they're going to spice things up. But like, I'm totally acceptable.
Yeah, and there's another thing I do. Sorry, I'm just using examples because that's all I have. Every now and then I hold a class, and everybody who pays for the class is in a Telegram group, right? For the first 3 days of the class, I'm the one who's teaching, I'm the one who's moderating, I'm the one who closes the group at certain times, opens it at certain times, all of that. But by the third day, I make everybody elect a community manager. And a lot of times, when I say, okay, so who do you guys nominate? Everybody nominates the same person. Because in that 3-day period, somebody has proven to be more resourceful than the others. And usually, that person is excited to be the community manager, right? So they just take the responsibility off of me. And everybody else in the class is also excited to have that person be their community manager because that person is a peer, that person. So for the class runs for 10 days. For the remaining 7 days of the class, that's the person that opens the groups, tells everybody, okay, it's time to do this, it's time to post your links. That person becomes the boss. I basically hand over parts to them and I go do other things, right? So even in communities where, all the 10 people are meeting themselves for the first time, you can find ways to identify, our teachers did it in primary school, right? And they will just point at you and say, write names of noisemakers, because they know the people who could do that well, and they knew the people who they could depend on for all of that. So in every group of 10, in every group of 20, identify who your star is and leverage what they have, yeah.
Thank you very much. I know that Kelvin and maybe Hanifa, they both have communities for business. I know you have a personal community, and I want to ask you, of what benefit is that to individuals? Why should I build my own community? What does that do for me?
That's a wonderful question. First of all, I don't think everyone should build a community. If you're a creator, if you're a whatever it is you do, you don't feel pressure to build a community because is this thing everybody's doing now, it's nice to have. Because it's hard. If you don't love it, you're going to hate yourself sometimes and hate other people too, right? Because you'll just be annoying. You're just like, you're not paying me enough for this. People can be annoying. So you don't have to do it. But when you decide that you want to do it, first of all, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. You need to know that there has to be a clear problem that you are solving with the community, right? It can't be something that you're starting out for your own benefits. It's not really going to work out because, initially, there's almost no benefit to you, if we're being very honest, right? Except the benefit of knowing that you're a part of someone else's journey. If that's something that is satisfying to you, then pursue building a community. That said, it can also be financially rewarding because people are more likely to buy from people that they know, they like, and they trust. So now I'm speaking from the point of view of an influencer. So that power that I have, I use the word power for lack of a better word, but that access I have to the hearts and minds of people, brands pay for that. It costs money, right? And that access, I built it over time, over years of offering valuable content to a group of people and just giving myself to them actively and a lot of times not getting anything out of it. So sometimes brands are like, I want access to this demographic of people. Which creator has access to these people? Any amount I tell them, they will pay or we are not going to work together. Because there's no other way. If they want to reach my community, the only way is through me, right? So you can get to a point where you have that value. If you also decide to go the route of digital products, that's something you can also earn from. You could create ebooks, you could sell courses, you could sell affiliate materials, all that stuff. Thought leadership is another benefit also. So there are a lot of people who have jobs, they have a source of income, they are fine. When they build communities, they are not trying to get money or anything. But it increases their credibility, right? So if somebody in the UK asks about Hanifa now, there's somebody who, because of how large her community is, there's somebody who can mention her name in a room where she's not even there, right? And a huge decision is being made in that kind of place. But because she's built a community, she's impacted so many people. She has more evangelists that when her name comes up, there are many people that would defend her because she's impacted them, you know. So just to recap, it can be financially rewarding, thought leadership, and just the fulfillment that comes from being a part of someone else's journey. Yeah.
Thank you. You guys, come on. Okay, so my final question before I ask the audience for questions is, how do I benefit, Hanifa? How do I benefit from, if I cannot build my own community, how do I benefit from communities that I join?
Okay, so, I mean, growth, being a member of any community, usually that impact is growth. So you want to move from point A to point B. So as a member, you want to make sure that you are growing. So that's also a something that you have to be responsible for yourself. So in as much as, yes, the creators and the managers of the community are there trying to make sure that they are pouring and giving you value, you yourself as a member, you want to be responsible for your own growth within that community. Network as well. So you have access to people, you have access to hundreds and thousands of people that could be your next co-founder. I mean, one of our major success stories at Aggressive for Good is years ago, 2 members found themselves within the community. They were both ambassadors, and now they founded a $30 billion company, and, you know, growing. Yeah, so you want to, you know, make sure that you're networking and connecting with fellow members. What else? You also want to just have fun, literally. You don't, not everything is serious. Connect with people that are, you know, like-minded. You both pushing for, you know, the same interest, the same goal. And these are the same set of people that you can also have fun with. If you're an introvert and you don't have friends, feel free to reach out to a member, create a group chat, and start planning for how to travel to 25 countries that you've never gone to the first one. But yeah, so just have fun, grow within community, and then network, connect with people.
Thank you so much. Do you have questions for the okay, 1. Anybody else? 2. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Timisola Olua. My question is how? How do you build a community? How do you balance building a community with your personal life? And I would say this, I speak French, and I remember after having my diploma in French, I just opened an Instagram account just to speak French, and it grew. I was doing it for fun, trust me. And then I had so many people, mostly from Morocco and not even Nigerians, tell me, build a community of French speakers. And if I said something and she was like, she talked, I don't know how to talk. Like, I'm not a talker. I don't know how to come in a group and hi, hello. I don't know how to do that. I prefer to just do my work and then post, not talk. So, how do I not talk when building a community?
You're a great talker.
And how do I balance building a community with my life, my career, my goals, and all? Thank you.
No, I think you should hold the mic, because, yeah, should I go ahead? Okay. Why do people ask you to build a community? Is there a reason why, build a community, but for what?
I really don't know. Maybe because the content I push out are valuable. Because whenever I maybe do a French class or just to read, people are like, they love my pronunciation, the way I talk and all, come and teach us. But
so you come and teach us. So they want you to come and teach them how to speak French better.
Yes, but I can't talk. I don't. It's stressful to me. I can't imagine myself doing all the talking. It's like stress. So, no, the question is, how do you people balance it? I'm just imagining in my head that how do you guys do it?
Do Do you like it when people get better at speaking French from your posts? Do you want to see more of it? I think you just learn to talk. And I think even Salem already kind of gave a perfect tip for that. Over time, you recognize one or two people that you can do this together with, so that takes the pressure off you. So again, do it with a smaller number, just 10 people. Tell people to come and sign up for, I don't know, a 2-week or 3 weeks class, and then do it together with somebody that speaks French as well. And that can be a start. Then you start to find your groove. Don't force yourself. It can be within that 3 weeks, you're only talking for every 2 days. That gives you 1 day to rest as well. Pinpoint somebody within the community that can also, oh, you're doing really well, so do you want to take today's session and we'll do it together? That also takes the pressure off you. I just keep practicing in front of the mirror. You'll be fine.
All right, thank you.
But just before we leave, hi Timmy. So around balancing it, yes, I wanted to. I think a big part is how you see it. Right now, I think you see it as something that is just there, just that thing, and you can actually see it as a source of livelihood. And at that point, it becomes something that you have to do, not something that you can do maybe when you have some time or not. Like when I think about communities right now, it's work. Yes, I'm not like Salem. I don't have a personal community apart from just followers, and I don't consider that a community. Yes, but what I know that I have is brand communities. We have communities with Bumper, we have communities with Consonance Club, and it's work for me. Like, I wake up and I'm thinking about it because it's work. So when you're thinking about, oh, how do I balance with its career? It's my career. I have to do it. So I think that, especially when people have said, they would like you to teach them, it means that you can make money from it. It means that you can earn from it. You like to do it already. I will sign up to, so it's like people, see, you already have customers right here. Like people want to learn, and they basically identify you as, somebody that is able to teach them. So, maybe you just need to get Salem's contact after this, you will join his class first. He will train you to how to build the community, and then, then you will now go ahead to build your own. But I think just changing the mindset and also just seeing that this can actually be part of your career will be great.
Maxine. I'm ready. All right, Sean, please.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all for coming and giving us a lot of great information today. I think I kind of share a little bit of your thing. I'm a Gemini. One day I want to talk. One day I don't really feel like talking to anybody. But also, one of the things that kind of gives me pre-PTSD is I feel like there's a new platform every other day. And I know the platform doesn't make a community, but a community needs a platform. So for people who do want to build communities, is there any advice or insight as far as like selecting platforms, or, how do you kind of take on that part where I know, like, I don't know, I mean, you guys know what it is. There's so many different ways to approach it, but generalized, the question is like, how do I select the right platform for my community?
Okay. That's a great question. I'm a strong believer in the fact that a tool is a tool. And it's ultimately about the people using the tool first before it is about the tool. So I don't really like it when people say I want to build an Instagram community. I prefer when people say I want to build a community of creators. I want to build a community of market women. So the question is now, where are market women hanging out? What apps are they using? Right? So that you're just right up their alley. So if I'm trying to build a community of people who, the majority of them, their demography, they're like 45 to 60, and then I'm going to TikTok, that's a waste of time, right? Or if they're 45 to 60 and I'm like, this is what I want, so I'm going to use Discord, how are you going to get them to, they'll just be confused and fall out. So in that kind of situation, your best bet would be to use a WhatsApp group, do you get? And say you or Facebook group, say you didn't have WhatsApp, you should go and get it, right? Or you're like, I don't use Facebook. But if you're trying to reach these people, that's where you need to be. You need to like be where they are, where they already are, and like meet them there. But one thing I know that is sort of universal for everyone is a mailing list. So no matter what other kind of community you have to always have a mailing list. Every platform can crash. Every platform any platform that can crash has crashed. Right?
Except bumper.
Yeah, but the one thing you have that is yours no matter what is a contact list, right? Is an email list. So make sure that you're constantly building that regardless of what platform you decide to use. Of course, I would put that first, like where are people spending their time? What platforms are they using? How can I meet them where they are? And then the second would be, what am I trying to do with these communities and which platforms give me the greatest advantage? So if you're a content creator, for example, and you're building a platform on Instagram, and you're trying to do this for the long term, it makes sense that you should try to build a platform on YouTube, right? For your own longevity. Because YouTube is the only platform that like directly pays you. Do you understand? So as a creator, for example, you should be thinking in that direction. If you're trying to build a tech community, sometimes Slack is better for things like that. Depending on the size and the kind of people that are there, Telegram might work. I see that a lot of people in crypto, NFTs, they use Discord a lot. I hate the app. I don't know how to spend more than 5 minutes in the app. It just disgusts me. But there are people who spend their entire day on Discord, right? And they know their people. I'm not one of them, and I'm not trying to belong. But yeah, at the end of the day, is understanding where people want to spend time and which platforms give you the advantages that you need to leverage for what you're specifically trying to optimize for.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? One question.
Yeah, hi guys. So last year I got talking with some guys, some techies, and the conversation led us to thinking of starting a community. Now, I don't want to talk about what the community is about.
Why is he looking at me?
Yeah, it's most of my questions directed at you. Sorry, I want to learn from you. Yeah, so I just want to ask, how long does it take to like start? Because we've been having the conversation for months, so we just don't want to go out there and then it just ends, and maybe in weeks we can't even maybe talk to anybody about anything about the community. So I know I'm taking my time to like put things together. Maybe I'm overthinking it, I don't know. But we don't want to just go out there and we are thrown out immediately. So how long does it take to like start the community? And what are the things you need to consider before starting even? So you don't get in and get out at the same time.
So first of all, you're definitely overthinking. Clarity comes on the road, right? Ask Kelvin, a lot of tech products, when they start out, they have one problem they're trying to solve in mind, and then people start to use the product and it becomes something else because they just move in the direction of what people want. So you could be a nerd who's like a super nerd about your product, but that's not what people want. And when people show you that, oh, we like this thing, but what about this thing? You move in the direction of what those people want, right? So you actually have to start. There's so much that you're not going to figure out until you start. So you have to start rough. You have to start afraid. You have to start anyhow. Do you get? Of course, I'm not saying you should do rubbish. The risk is always there. You can build something and it will not work. Do you get? But everything you learn from that process of building something will be valuable to the next thing you build, right? So don't say we don't want to start because we don't want to start and then everything can fail at any time. Do you understand? Let me tell you this. I don't know if this applies, but whatever. I have the mic. You know how have you ever seen that joke where somebody say, you know that relationship where I've been they hide, say make it no spoil. It don't spoil. Right? Because breakups happen whether you share or whether you hide it or you don't hide it. If it will spoil, it will spoil. So it sort of applies to this too. Just do what you need to do your own homework. To start, I would say, first of all, you just need to know who it is you are serving and where to find them. That's it. And I feel like that's enough to start. Do you understand? Know who you are serving, where to find them, which problems you want to solve for them. That's it. That's enough to go on. From there, everything else, you figure it out on the road. The clarity will come on the road. The clarity will not come from brainstorming. Like, if you people brainstorm from now till the end of the year, there's so many things that will still shock you when you start. Like, it will still shock. I'm a content creator now, yeah? And every now and then, a certain post will go viral, and I'm shocked. This is what you people like. Like, the one that I did research, then one random thing that I shot, I just opened my curtain and shot, no tripod, no lights, nothing. It just blows up, So that's how this thing is. You never know. You just have to put yourself out there and try. Yeah.
I think following that specific next step that you should start right now is, hi everyone, wherever those people are, I'm looking to do this. You might not say I'm looking to build a community of, just to take the pressure off you. Because I feel like a lot of people get pressured on, I want to build a community or I want to start something. Just say, hi everyone, so who is interested in blah, 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 blah. I'm looking to have a conversation around blah, 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 blah. Just make it fun, and then people will just say, hi. You have your first 5 people, you have your first 10 people already. Put them in a group, have that, or even have a meeting first. You started your community already, literally.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. That brings us to the end of this session. Let's take a picture together.